So deciding on knowledge, who's right and who's wrong in a inherently conflicted world with lots of opinions and no two people believing exactly the same thing or even seeing the same thing, this turns out to be really hard. Again and again, it's led to wars, untold destruction throughout human history, because probably the standard way to settle profound social disagreements is you kill me. You kill the hypothesis by killing the person, or you exile me, or imprison me, or oppress me, or threaten my family. So then, in order to prevent that, another traditional way to do it is authoritarianism. You appoint a priest, a pope, a politburo, a dictator, a czar. You have a holy book that everyone has to refer to. There are all kinds of ways to doing it, but you set up an authority and you say, okay, our group believes this according to this person or this text. Well, that can keep peace for a while, usually not very long, because in a disagreeing world, the society will schism, and then it's Catholics versus Protestants and 150 years of war in Europe that kills possibly up to a third of the population of what's now Germany. So that turns out not to work well either. Plus, it's oppressive and ignorant. About 300 years ago, around the same time as the core ideas of the US Constitution and Declaration of Independence were being pioneered, people in the same social environment, in some cases people who knew each other, were setting up what became modern science, modern law, eventually modern journalism, which is a whole different way of settling public disputes about truth. They said, what if no one in particular makes this decision? What if we outsource it to a social network, not a term they had, but that's what it was, of people everywhere checking for each other's mistakes? So you float a hypothesis, you're going to have to give evidence to persuade people like me. I'm going to check it. I might find mistakes. I might improve it. I might then pass it on to others. And only after many people and institutions have looked at it, modified it, accepted it, revised it, does it enter the textbooks. That's science. It's also law. It's also journalism. That's the Constitution of knowledge. It works a lot like the US Constitution. It's not just a figure of speech. There is a Constitution of knowledge. It's not a law that's written down, but it's all the practices that we learned in college about how to state an argument, how to use ad hominem ways of talking about it, experimentalism, the use of logic, willingness to accept that you're wrong. And the key thing that both constitutions, the US Constitution and the Constitution of knowledge, have in common, they both force social negotiation in a non-coercive way. In the US Constitution, you can have any social preference you want, but if you want to make a law that's going to govern society, you'll have to compromise with people who think differently. That's the whole point of Madison's constitutional system. It forces compromise. In the realm of truth, if you want to get into the textbooks or in the core curriculum, not just your opinion, but widely accepted as true, you're going to have to persuade a whole lot of people that you're right. And that's going to force you to talk to them and them to you, and you're going to have this conversation about truth. And it's what emerges from that vast decentralized social conversation. That's our knowledge. And it's not just free speech. Free speech is not enough. Free speech by itself gets you 8chan, Twitter. It gets posturing, lying, impersonation, trolling. That's the natural human condition. Constitution of knowledge is the structure we rely on that says, okay, you can say and do anything you want in terms of your beliefs, but if you want it accepted as knowledge, you're going to have to follow some rules. You're going to have to state a claim. You're going to have to subject it to criticism. You might be wrong. If the verdict is against you, you may have to accept that you lose the argument, and so forth. So that's our system for making knowledge. It transforms us as a species from a group of small tribes running around, all believing we have the right answer, yet none of us having it, to a global system of minds and institutions that can pivot to decode a new virus over a weekend, design a vaccine in 3 days, and have it in my arm in less than a year.